Ever picked up an ice cube, only to feel it stubbornly cling to your fingers, as if it has a secret agenda? That instant of surprise, followed by an awkward shake, a laugh, or maybe a split second of worry, is something almost all of us have experienced. Whether you're enjoying a summer drink, building a snowman, or just rummaging in the freezer, the strange sensation of ice sticking to your skin is oddly universal. But have you ever actually paused and wondered, what's really going on here? Is it just because ice is cold, or is there some hidden science at work that you've never even considered? If you've got a memorable ice-stuck-to-skin story, why not share it below? You might find you're not alone. Let's pull back the curtain. Why does ice stick to your skin? Most people shrug it off as just because it's cold, but there's a fascinating, almost invisible process happening right at the surface. Is it static electricity building up? Some kind of magical glue you can't see? Or maybe something even more unexpected? Today, we're unpacking this everyday mystery and discovering why this sticky situation is actually a perfect example of how science sneaks into the tiniest corners of our lives. And heads up, there's more to the answer than just don't touch ice. Understanding this could even help you avoid pain, prevent injuries, and impress your friends with some next-level trivia. To crack the case, let's get specific. Start by picturing your hand. Even if it feels dry, your skin is constantly releasing microscopic amounts of moisture. That's because your skin, especially on your fingers, is designed to grip, sense, and respond to the environment. This moisture is almost invisible, but it's there. Sometimes it's sweat, sometimes it's just regular skin hydration, and sometimes you've just washed your hands or left the gym, so your skin is a little wetter than usual. Now enter the ice cube, frozen solid, way below zero, and hungry for any trace of warmth it can steal from its surroundings. As soon as your skin touches the ice, there's an instant exchange, a heat handshake, if you will. Your warm skin tries to share its heat, but the ice greedily absorbs it. This all happens in the blink of an eye. Here's a quick audience challenge. Which do you think would stick to ice more, a wet finger or a dry one? Make your prediction now. Are you team wet or team dry? Spoiler, moisture is the not-so-secret ingredient. It sets the stage for the sticky surprise that follows. Let's break this down step by step. Your skin presses up against the ice, and the natural warmth from your body instantly starts to melt just the very top layer of the ice cube. That creates an ultra-thin film of water, so thin you'd need a microscope to spot it. It's almost as if your skin and the ice are separated by a tiny, invisible moat. But here's where the science takes a twist. Since the ice is so much colder than your skin, it quickly draws away that warmth. This means that newly formed water film doesn't last long. It refreezes in a flash, molding itself into every tiny groove and ridge of your skin's surface. What you get is a custom-made, microscopic ice fingerprint clinging to you. This whole process is called cryoadhesion, essentially, freezing-based sticking. The real secret here? Water's love of making hydrogen bonds. When the water refreezes, it forms new bonds with both the ice cube and your skin's outer layer, creating a connection that can feel surprisingly strong for something you can barely see. Let's turn that into a picture you can actually feel. Think about how Velcro works. On one side, you have tiny hooks, and on the other, tiny loops. Press them together and, snap, they hold tight until you pull them apart. That's what's happening between your skin and the refrozen layer of ice. The tiny grooves in your skin are like the loops, the ice is the hooks, and that freshly formed water film is the perfect bridge connecting them. If you've ever tried to tear apart industrial-strength Velcro, you know it's surprisingly tough. Or picture two puzzle pieces that fit together so perfectly, they almost become one. That's the molecular fit between your skin and the refrozen ice layer. Imagine, you're holding a cube of ice and your skin's microgrooves are locking in place, on a scale smaller than you can even see. Would you have guessed that's possible? And for a bonus fact, this same phenomenon explains the childhood classic of tongue stuck to a frozen pole. The tongue is extra vulnerable, warm, wet, and full of delicate cells, making it even easier for the freezing process to lock you in place. If you've ever been dared to try the tongue on a flagpole stunt, you now know exactly why it's such a bad idea. But why does this only happen with ice, and not with, say, a cold can of soda or just a handful of icy water? The trick is in the phase change. Ice is unique because it's cold enough to rapidly draw heat from your skin and refreeze that thin layer of water almost instantly. With water, the surface isn't cold enough for refreezing, so there's no sticky bond, just a wet finger. The bond relies on freezing, not just on being cold. And when it comes to metal, things can get even scarier. Metal is a super efficient conductor of heat, much better than ice. So, if you touch your wet tongue or finger to a metal pole on a freezing day, that moisture freezes in place even faster than with ice. That's why metal pole incidents can lead to more serious injuries, as the bond forms quicker and can be even harder to break. Here's a mini mythbuster. Some people think that ice is stickier than metal, but in reality, it's all about which surface can steal your heat faster. Metal just happens to be the top thief. Have you ever seen or started a tongue-on-pole winter fail? Confess in the comments. Now, you might be wondering, is this just a quirky annoyance, or could it actually be dangerous? For most people, it's only a few seconds of surprise, maybe some mild discomfort. But in situations where the ice, or especially metal, is extremely cold, such as in laboratory freezers or the coldest winter climates, this sticky bond can become nearly impossible to break without damage. The colder the surface, the faster and more deeply it can freeze moisture in your skin, locking you in place almost like superglue. There are true stories from scientists who, by accident, touched the inside of a minus 70 degrees Celsius freezer with bare skin and ended up painfully stuck, sometimes even losing a small patch of skin in the process. In those extreme cases, what started as a simple science experiment turned into a lesson on why you should always use gloves. So, while an ice cube at home is usually harmless, the same scientific process can have very real consequences if you're not careful. Quick, what's the worst thing you can do if your skin gets stuck to ice? Is it pull, blow, or warm water? Comment with your guess. First and most importantly, don't panic, and definitely don't pull. Pulling can rip your skin, especially if the bond is strong. Instead, gently warm the affected area. The best way is to run lukewarm water over the stuck spot. Not hot, not cold. Lukewarm is perfect for gently melting the ice without shocking your skin. If you're out in the cold and water isn't handy, use the warmth of your other hand, or blow gently on the area until the ice loosens its grip. And remember, prevention is best. Dry your hands before handling large amounts of ice, and use gloves if you're working with ice for a long period, like if you're packing a cooler or braving extreme winter weather. And here's a tip for skincare fans. If you use ice rollers or cold therapy for your face, always keep the skin moving, and stop immediately if you feel any tugging or sticking. Beauty shouldn't hurt or freeze. What's your go-to tip for handling ice? Or do you have any hacks for dealing with winter chills? Share below. Let's make cold hands a thing of the past. Let's dig into a few. Wait, what about questions we know you're itching to ask? Is ice sticking dangerous, or just annoying? Usually just uncomfortable, especially at household temperatures. But in extreme cold, it can cause frostbite, torn skin, or lasting sensitivity. Does salt or lotion make a difference? Salt can lower the freezing point of water, so it might melt the ice a bit faster. But it can also make the water colder before it finally melts, so be careful. Lotion acts like a shield, preventing direct contact and making sticking less likely. Some anti-ice sprays use oils or silicones to create a barrier. Why does my tongue stick more than my finger? Your tongue is a super efficient heat source, thanks to its blood flow, and it's always wet. That's a perfect storm for rapid freezing, so your tongue bonds to cold surfaces much faster than your hand. Plus, the tissue on your tongue is more delicate, which is why getting unstuck can be more painful. Can special gloves or coatings really stop this? Absolutely. Scientists are actively researching isophobic surfaces for everything from airplane wings to wind turbines. These materials are designed to prevent water from freezing in place, often using microtextures or water-repelling chemicals. Imagine gloves that work like a lotus leaf. Water just rolls off. No sticking allowed. Note: most consumer products still lag behind lab technology. Does humidity matter? Yes, higher humidity can mean more moisture on your skin, which increases the chances of a strong freeze bond. That's why cold, humid environments feel extra sticky. Is there a risk with kids? Definitely. Children have thinner skin and may not realize the danger as quickly. Always keep an eye out when they're handling ice or playing in the snow. Why don't penguins get stuck to ice? Many cold climate animals, including penguins, have evolved oils and specialized feathers or fur to reduce direct skin/ice contact and prevent sticking. This is still an area of active research, but it's one more way nature is clever with cryoadhesion. What's the weirdest science fact you know about cold? Drop it in the comments. We might feature it in a future episode. So next time you grab some ice, remember, it's not magic or just bad luck when it sticks. It's a clever play between heat, moisture, and some of nature's most fascinating molecular bonds. Now you know how to break the ice, literally and figuratively, avoid skin trouble, and maybe even impress your friends at your next get-together with some cool facts. If you enjoyed this dive into everyday science, we'd love to hear from you. Share your own ice stories, life hacks, or even your biggest aha moment from this video. Liking and sharing helps others find our Explainer series, and subscribing keeps your curiosity sharp. Stay curious, stay safe, and join us next time as we reveal the itch-inducing secrets behind mosquito bites.